In this section, we'll talk about the essentials that an executive should know about the area of Burgundy in France. A few things that are important to know about any region are: one, what are the grapes? This is an important item to remember. Two, what are the flavors and aromas that one can expect in a glass of wine from that region? Three, how do you then pair that with food? Let's say in a client context, in a dinner, how do you match the food that someone's ordered with the wine? And then finally, what are the bottles that are iconic to that area, the bottles you really should know, the big brands? If we zero in on Burgundy in particular, I would also take away these essentials. You should remember that Burgundy is the home of Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is an important red grape. It's one that many people know. It's grown all over the world, but Burgundy is really its home. That's where it's from. Now, you should also know that within the Burgundy area, there are areas Beaujolais and Chablis. Now, Beaujolais makes softer wines, very approachable, drinkable wines in the south. Chablis makes white wines from the Chardonnay grape up in the north, in an area a bit further removed from the rest. So here, of course, Burgundy is an area, a region within France. You can see on the map it's somewhat central and a bit to the east. You have Chablis as the northernmost portion. Burgundy proper is in the middle, the area that most people identify with Pinot Noir, and then in the south you have Beaujolais. The grapes in this region we've mentioned Pinot Noir already. So Pinot Noir is one of the most important red grapes in the world, but within Burgundy it's a very important grape. The Gamay grape is the grape used to make Beaujolais, also a red grape. In terms of whites, the white within Burgundy, and especially in Chablis, and that area of Burgundy, the white grape to know is Chardonnay. So starting with the red grapes, let's talk about Pinot Noir. What can you expect if someone brings you a glass of Pinot Noir? What would you pick up in that glass? I would say one thing you'd note right away is the color. Pinot Noir tends to be a bit lighter in color, so you can differentiate Pinot Noir from a darker wine, a wine like a Cabernet Sauvignon, immediately by its color. So expect a bit softer color, a bit lighter shade of red color. In terms of the fruit on the nose, look for raspberries, cherries, perhaps blackberries and violets, things that are a bit lighter. Sometimes you'll pick up, especially in Pinot Noir from Burgundy in France, an earthiness. Some are made, especially if they're made in a bit larger style, a bit more robust style, you'll pick up earthiness. Often, sometimes cinnamon and cloves could be the spice that you pick up. But that earthiness is thought to be very desirable in some of the bigger style Pinot Noirs that come out of Burgundy. In terms of pairing Burgundy with food, Burgundy is versatile, and it can kind of cut in two directions. So Burgundy can be paired with meat. It can also be prepared with fish fairly well if you're looking at, let's say, tuna, for example. So here, think in terms of white meat, duck, lamb, pork, these would all work. It can go with white meat, red meat, very all-around wine. Also depends on the style of the Burgundy. If it's a heavier style, think more toward meat. If it's a lighter style, think more toward white meat, for example. Think lighter herbs, maybe basil, red sauces, mushroom sauces, all of these things would be fine. But Burgundy really is that borderline wine that can go with fish or it can go with meat. So something to bear in mind when you're pairing wines. In terms of the wines to know, there's really a couple that are extremely important and they're extremely expensive. If you see these on the menu, any wine enthusiast would know these wines. They would seek these wines. Domaine de la Romanée Conti is the winemaker to know. Within that, one of their vineyards is known as La Tâche. These bottles are some of, if not the most expensive wines in the world. They can age for years. They're collector's items. Very important to know. Often, Domaine de la Romanée Conti is shortened to DRC. So if someone says DRC, that's what they're talking about. That's what they're referring to. This is the flag bearer of Pinot Noir, from the Burgundy region. Let's shift now to the Gamay grape. This grape is a red grape still, but much softer in character, or typically made softer in character, in the southern area of Burgundy. Gamay, you'll pick up, let's say banana, strawberry, things that often you wouldn't associate with a robust red wine because it's often not. So think violets and roses, or even perhaps perfume. So often this is a much more playful wine. Also think in terms of pairing, you can pair it with playful foods, pizza, pasta. Some people think it's a very good Thanksgiving wine. so with roast turkey, for example. Salads and cheeses would also go nicely with this. It would make a good picnic wine. It's a very drinkable wine, often a very light wine. There are some that are made more in a Pinot Noir style and made a little bit larger or more robust or more like a Pinot, but many have this really soft characteristic that it's known for, and this more playful characteristic. In terms of the bottles to know, Georges Duboeuf would be the big producer, so you hear fairly ubiquitous on shelves if you're looking for Beaujolais. And one more thing to note, Beaujolais Nouveau is not the same thing as Beaujolais. Beaujolais Nouveau is a style of Beaujolais that's made very fast, in a very light style, and it's released on the third Thursday of every November at a particular at a particular time in France. Is the global release. It's a fun wine, but it's not a serious one. So here with Beaujolais Nouveau, everything I've said about Gamay is true, but think more like tropical fruit and bananas. Beaujolais, I would probably not order a Beaujolais Nouveau to go with to pair with a meal in an executive context, unless you're just trying to get a read on the year's harvest. Sometimes people will use Beaujolais Nouveau as an indicator of how the grapes were because it's put out really fast. This is not a wine that ages on the shelf. Let's now shift gears and talk about the white wines of the area. And here we're referring to Chardonnay, and in particular we'll talk about Chablis, which is in the north, and really offset from the Pinot Noir area, north of the rest of Burgundy. Chablis is Chardonnay, but it's made in a different style than, for example, what you might associate with a California Chardonnay. Chablis is made, in a style that's often not oaked as well. And when I say not oaked, what I mean is that many New World winemakers, New World US would be example, they will let the Chardonnay spend some time on oak, aging in oak, and it picks up certain characteristics like butterscotch, like vanilla. You'll see less of that with Chablis. With Chablis, it'll be a crisp taste, green apple and grapefruit perhaps, in terms of the fruit. You could expect a bit nuttier characteristic, and I think in particular mineral and flint. That flintiness is an oft-cited characteristic of Chablis. Very different from what you might be used to with a California Chardonnay, where you would pick up vanilla, oak, butterscotch, things along these lines. How would you pair a Chablis? Well, white meat would work perfectly fine. Grilled fish would be a natural. Shellfish also very good. This is a light, refreshing wine. And I think butter and parsley. It would stand up well to bright flavors like parsley, and it would stand up well to shellfish, things like oysters, for example. When looking at Chablis on the menu, what are you looking for? There are 7 Grand Cru vineyards, and Grand Cru is the designation of the highest quality category in Chablis. So if you would look for a Grand Cru Chablis, you would know that you would be picking at that higher quality level. So let's talk about the essentials as I've described them. You need to know that Burgundy is Pinot Noir country. All right, this is the most important fact about this session. Burgundy is Pinot Noir. Right, it's the home to it's the home place of the grape. This grape is grown all over the world. It's also the home to the iconic DRCs, Domaine de la Romanée Conti wines, or La Tâche is one of their vineyards, but Pinot Noir country. Now, Beaujolais is an interesting grape. It's from the south, much lighter. When you think of Beaujolais, think fun, think not a serious grape necessarily, but it's a nice grape and a drinkable grape. Chablis is offset a bit. Often people refer to Chablis in and of itself, not necessarily as a subset of Burgundy, though it is in the Burgundy area. And when you think of Chablis, think Chardonnay, but unoaked. So think crisp, clean Chardonnay. If someone likes Chardonnay, they will probably like it, but just be aware that it's not as buttery and oaky as you might expect with a New World Chardonnay, as one from California would perhaps be.